Balaram, help me. We got it going right now.
You can bring it closer, bro. Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We can recite together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you, dear devotees, for your association. I seek your blessings so I can present Srimad Bhagavatam following the mode of Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna. We are continuing our reading, Canto 2, Chapter 4, text number 6. 2, 4, 6. We did 5 yesterday. Bhuya eva vivitsami Bhagavanatma-mayaya Yathedam srijate vishvam Durvibhavayamadhishvarai Bhuya eva vivitsami Bhagavanatma-mayaya Yathedam srijate vishvam Durvibhavayamadhishvarai Bhuya eva bhivitsami Bhagavanatma-mayaya Yathedam srijate vishvam Durvibhavayamadhishvarai Bhuya eva vivitsami Bhagavanatma-mayaya Yathedam srijate vishvam Durvibhavayamadhishvarai Bhuya again eva also vivitsami I wish to learn Bhagavan the personality of Godhead Atma personal Mayaya by the energies Yatha as idam this phenomenal world Srijate does create Vishwam universe Durvibhabayam inconceivable Adhishwarai by the great demigods. Translation purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I beg to know from you how the personality of Godhead by His personal energies creates these phenomenal universes as they are, which are inconceivable even to the great demigods. Purport. In every inquisitive mind, the important question of the creation of the phenomenal world arises, and therefore, for a personality like Maharaj Parikshit, who was to know all the activities of the Lord from his spiritual master, such an inquiry is not uncommon. For every unknown thing, we have to learn and inquire from a learned personality. The question of creation is also one of such inquiries to be made to the right person. The spiritual master, therefore, must be one who is Sarvagnya, as stated herein before in connection with Shukdev Goswami. Thus, all inquiries on God which are unknown to the disciple may be made from the qualified spiritual master, and here the practical example is set by Maharaj Parikshit. It was, however, already known to Maharaj Parikshit that everything we see is born out of the energy of the Lord, as we have all learned in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadhyasya Yataha. So Maharaj Parikshit wanted to know the process of creation. The origin of creation was known to him. Otherwise, he would not have inquired how the personality of Godhead, by his different energies, creates this phenomenal world. The common man also knows that the creation is made by some creator and is not created automatically. We have no experience in the practical world that a thing is created automatically. Foolish people say that the creative energy is independent and acts automatically as electrical energy works. But the intelligent man knows that even the electrical energy is generated by an expert engineer in the localized powerhouse, and thus the energy is distributed everywhere under the resident engineer's supervision. The Lord's supervision in connection with creation is mentioned even in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10, and it is clearly said there that material energy is a manifestation of one of many such energies of the Supreme. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. An inexperienced boy may be struck with wonder by seeing the impersonal actions of electronics or many other wonderful things conducted by electrical energy, but an experienced man knows that behind the action is a living man who creates such energy. Similarly, the so-called scholars and philosophers of the world may, by mental speculation, present so many utopian theories about the impersonal creation of the universe. But an intelligent devotee of the Lord, by studying the Bhagavad Gita, can know that behind the creation is the hand of the Supreme Lord. Just as in the generating electrical powerhouse there is the resident engineer. The research scholar finds out the cause and effect of everything, but research scholars as great as Brahma, Shiva, Indra, and many other demigods are sometimes bewildered by seeing the wonderful creative energy of the Lord. So, what to speak of the tiny mundane scholars dealing in petty things? As there are differences in the living conditions of different planets of the universe, and as one planet is superior to others, the brains of the living entities in those respective planets are also of different categorical values. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one can compare the long duration of life of the inhabitants of Brahma's planet, which is inconceivable to the inhabitants of this planet Earth, to the categorical value of the brain of Brahmaji, also inconceivable to any great scientist of this planet. And with such high brain power, even Brahmaji has described in his great Samhita, Brahma Samhita 5.1 as follows: Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the Supreme Person, and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the primeval Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahmaji admits Lord Krishna to be the supreme cause of all causes. But persons with tiny brains within this petty planet Earth think of the Lord as one of them. Thus, when the Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that He, Lord Krishna, is all in all, the speculative philosophers and the mundane wranglers deride him, and the Lord regretfully says, अवजानन्ति माम मूढा मानुषीं तनुमाश्रितं परं भावम् अजानन्तो मम भूतमहेश्वरम्. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Bhagavad Gita 9.11. Brahma and Shiva, and what to speak of other demigods, are bhutas or powerful created demigods who manage universal affairs much like ministers appointed by a king. The ministers may be Ishwaras or controllers, but the Supreme Lord is Maheshwara or the creator of the controllers. Persons with a poor fund of knowledge do not know this, and therefore they have the audacity to deride him, because he comes before us by his causeless mercy, occasionally as a human being. The Lord is not like a human being. He is Satchidananda Vigraha, or the absolute personality of Godhead, and there is no difference between his body and his soul. He is both the power and the powerful. Maharaj Parikshit did not ask his spiritual master Shukdev Goswami to narrate Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. He wanted to hear first about the creation of the Lord. Shukdev Goswami did not say that the king should hear about the direct transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The time was very short, and naturally Shukdev Goswami could have gone directly to the 10th canto to make a shortcut of the whole thing, as generally done by the professional reciters. But neither the king nor the great speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam jumped up like the organizers of Bhagavatam. Both of them proceeded systematically so that both future readers and hearers might take lessons from the example of the procedure of reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Those who are in control of the external energy of the Lord, or in other words, those who are in the material world, must first of all know how the external energy of the Lord is working under the direction of the Supreme Personality, and afterwards one may try to enter into the activities of his internal energy. The mundaners are mostly worshippers of Durga Devi, the external energy of Krishna, but they do not know that Durga Devi is but the shadow energy of the Lord. Behind her astonishing display of material workings is the direction of the Lord as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. The Brahma Samhita affirms that Durga Shakti is working by the direction of Govinda, and without his sanction, the powerful Durga Shakti cannot move even a blade of grass. Therefore, the neophyte devotee, instead of jumping at once to the platform of transcendental pastimes presented by the internal energy of the Lord, may know how great the Supreme Lord is by inquiring about the process of his creative energy. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita also descriptions of the creative energy and the Lord's hand in it are explained. The author of Chaitanya Charitamrita has warned the neophyte devotees to be seriously on guard against the pitfall of neglecting knowledge about Krishna in regard to how great he is. Only when one knows Lord Krishna's greatness can one firmly put one's unflinching faith in him. Otherwise, like the common man, even the great leaders of men will mistake Lord Krishna for one of the many demigods or a historical personality or a myth only. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord in Vrindavan or even at Dwarka are relishable for persons who have already qualified themselves in advanced spiritual techniques, and the common man may be able to attain to such a plane by the gradual process of service and inquiries, as we shall see in the behavior of Maharaj Parikshit. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjansalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. So this is very interesting. In first three chapters of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami has answered all the inquiries that Maharaj Parikshit posed at the end of first canto. Maharaj Parikshit asked, what is the duty of a person? What is the way of ultimate perfection for one who is going to die? For people in general, but particularly for one who is going to die. What should one hear? What should one chant? What should one remember? And what should one worship? And what one should not do? Please narrate all this to me. And this all has been done already in the first three chapters. Truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. It's already done. However, Maharaj Parikshit is very curious and inquisitive. He wants to know more. He wants to know about Krishna as as Shukdev Goswami mentioned, Ante Narayana Smriti, one should remember Krishna at the end of one's life. So he wants to know about Krishna so that he can remember Krishna at the end of his life. As we were discussing yesterday, chanting, before chanting comes hearing. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam. So if we want to remember Krishna at the end of life, we have to hear about him, we have to chant about him, then we can expect us to remember him at the end of one's life. So Maharaj Parikshit wants to hear about Krishna so that he can remember Krishna at the end of one's life. We also saw that Suta Goswami and the sages sitting in Naimesharanya, they are very inquisitive. They want to know about Krishna. They want to know what Maharaj Parikshit asked from Shukdev Goswami. And there's series of verses where they are requesting Suta Goswami, please continue speaking. So Maharaj Parikshit is first of all inquiring about the external energy of the Lord in this particular verse. So there will be series of questions that he asks, and the rest of the Bhagavatam will be answered to those questions of Maharaj Parikshit. So in this particular purport, Prabhupada has mentioned three different sections. The first section is about creation comes from a creator. And the second section talks about how the great demigods like Lord Brahma, for them, the creation itself is inconceivable. And the third section is about Maharaj Parikshit's approach to this, to learning Krishna by learning his external energy before learning his internal energy. So we'll just go a little bit in all three topics and then we can open for some discussion. So the first section is about creation comes from creator. We see that all the time in Prabhupada's purport in different ways. I really like the title Life Comes from Life, where Prabhupada explains this. There's a creator behind the creation. In this particular purport, the example is given of a resident electrical engineer. So Prabhupada always brings these three particular aspects, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So he is giving the example of electrical energy, which is ubiquitous. We see everywhere we have sockets. There is no house where there is no sockets, there is no electricity. It is unheard of unless we go to a retreat center where there is no electricity. So electrical energy is ubiquitous everywhere. But where does it come from? There is a localized powerhouse. So electrical energy is compared to Brahman or the energies of the Supreme which are present everywhere in terms of water, in terms of light, in terms of heat, in terms of fire, in terms of smell. There's so many energies of the Supreme present everywhere around us. That is Brahman. or the electrical energy. There is a source for all these things. Just like for electrical energy, there's a powerhouse, which is the source. Similarly, for aroma, for taste, for sound, there's a source from which sound comes, from which taste comes, from which smell comes, heat comes. And Krishna talks about this in detail in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled The Knowledge of the Absolute. Krishna says in the beginning of the chapter, now I shall explain to you further this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous. This being known, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshyami asheshyata yajgyatva neha bhuyo nejgyatavyam avashishyate. That's why Shukdev Goswami is addressed as Sarvagnya in the last verse. Sarvagnya means all-knowing, one who knows everything. So Prabhupada says in the purport that a spiritual master is supposed to know everything. So what does that mean? And there was a conversation where somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, do you know how many windows are there in some skyscraper building? Of course, Prabhupada did not know that, but the idea is that he knows how material energy works, how spiritual energy works, and the source of both. That is real knowledge, as we discussed. What is matter, what is spirit, and what is the source of both. Krishna says in 7th chapter, text 6, he says that whatever you see in the world, whether it is material or spiritual, I am the source and the dissolution of both. And every living entity comes from these two energies, matter and spirit. So later on, Krishna explains in 7th chapter, Matta partaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvam idam protam sutre mani ganaiva. Oh my dear Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. Everything that exists rests upon me, just like pearls which are strung on a thread. And then he gives details. Rasoham apsu konte, I am the taste of water. Prabha asmi shashi suryo, I am the heat of the sun and the moon, or I am the light of the sun and moon. Pranava sarva vedeshu, I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. Shabdakhe paurusham nishu, I am the sound in ether, I am ability in man. So he's explaining numinous. Numinous means something which is mysterious, which is not apparent, which is not perceivable. That is numinous. So he is giving us the mysterious part, that I am the source of taste of water, I am the taste of water, I am the sound in ether, I am the ability in man. And he is also giving us something which is perceivable, phenomenal world, which we can perceive with our senses. He goes on explaining punyo gandha prithivyam cha, I am the original fragrance of the earth. Punyo gandha prithivyam cha tejas chasmi vibhavaso, I am the heat in the fire. Jivanam sarvabhuteshu tapaschasmi tapashvishu, I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penances of all ascetics. So he goes on explaining like this. He talks about the three modes of nature, that how all these three modes of nature come from him, but he is independent from them. And the whole material nature is based out of these three modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, as we can see in Bhagavad Gita in later chapters, where Krishna divides everything in these three modes. So he's explaining in detail how is the source of both noumenal and phenomenal world. And a spiritual master can explain all this because he has heard this from his spiritual master and is passing the knowledge as it is. So localized powerhouse is Paramatma and resident engineer is Bhagwan. So this is the analogy Prabhupada is giving here. One should not stop at electricity. One should go, what is the source of electricity is the powerhouse, and what is the source of powerhouse? There's a person behind it. That's the resident engineer. The second section which is discussed in this purport is how This material nature is inconceivable even to the great demigods. It seems like it is working automatically. We see self-driving cars, we see AI, bots, we see YouTube recommendations. It seems that they are working on their own. But if a person is intelligent, he can see that there's a source to all of them. YouTube recommendations, there are people working hard behind those YouTube machines and recommendations. There is a devotee, Achyuta Balram Prabhu, he used to work for YouTube. So he was telling me that how they target specific videos and advertisement to people according to their interests. And they design those algorithms in YouTube to give you suggestions so one can get stuck to watching more and more videos and then hopefully click to an advertisement and buy a product. That's how they earn money. Regarding AI, uh, artificial intelligence, His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu says it's not AI, it's BI. BI means borrowed intelligence. All this, there are models working behind this. Although we see that I'm asking anything and it is able to answer me, but there are models, they're called LMs, LLMs, LLMs, language learning models. So it can be trained. It can be trained, and human mind is so smart that it can train machines to act like humans. And then self-driving cars like Tesla and all. Oh no, not Tesla. Yeah, of course that. And then there are many more like Waymo and Neuro. So they have, but there's a person who has designed all that. There's an algorithm. There's a way they get the data. They learn from it. So human mind also works similarly. We learn from the environment. So in that sense, we can say mind is also material. You know, that's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, these are all separated material energies of mind. So just like we are training these machines to act independently, the mind is similarly trained. So mind is not spiritual, mind is material. Although it is a very sophisticated device, it is still matter. Human beings have the potential to learn language because they have mind. They can learn it. They have intellect, but it is still material. In order to make it work, we need spirit. But the mind in itself is material. So unless we understand the significance of free will, there's no difference between a human being and a machine which can be trained. A dog can be trained, parrot can be trained, a machine can be trained. But who is the person who can train it? There has to be a spirit to train it. We are using this microphone. It can be used to broadcast on YouTube, but there has to be somebody to put it on my t-shirt, and there is somebody has to speak in it to make it work. Another example that Srila Prabhupada gives is a bag of rice and scorpions coming out of bag of rice. So many people think that this scorpion is born out of rice, but actually there's a scorpion who has put eggs, who has laid eggs in the rice, and that's how scorpions have come out. We see the concept of trees. One tree producing so many, a lemon tree producing so many lemons, and from every lemon we can create so many other trees. So there is something which is phenomenal and something which is numinous. So what is the active ingredient behind that seed? What is the technology behind that seed, that from one seed we can create another tree? That is spirit. That's not matter. People are creating clones or YouTube like the babies, but they all start from life. They get spirit and then they can operate upon it. No scientist can work on matter and create life. There are few verses by Brahmaji in his prayers to Lord Krishna, 10th canto, chapter 14, where he says that this material nature and Krishna himself, they are inconceivable. Only by Krishna's mercy one can understand him. So 10:14:7. In time, learned philosophers or scientists might be able to count all the atoms of the earth, the particles of snow, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars, and other luminaries. But among these learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of the earth for the benefit of all living entities? We know when Srila Prabhupada was here, one of his students was Purushottam, and he was very much attached to the moon um, program of the government, going to the moon, Apollo, and the man's landing on the moon. When Prabhupada saw that on the TV, there was one devotee who was cooking, and Prabhupada said, that devotee who is cooking khichdi and offering to Krishna, that's more consequential than this man landing on the moon. And that's what Brahmaji is saying. People might be able to actually count all the atoms of the earth. It's possible. So we should not be amazed when these great scientists have great discoveries. Brahmaji is saying it's possible. They might be able to count the particles of snow sometime, or perhaps even the shining molecules radiating from the sun, the stars and other luminaries. But among those learned men, who could possibly count the unlimited transcendental qualities possessed by you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who have descended onto the surface of earth for the benefit of all living entities? So a devotee who has given his life for Krishna, his one simple offering of love is more consequential than all these learned men and their exhibitions to moon and Mars and so on. 10:14:29. This is one of the verse which is famous. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So, what to speak of people who are materialists, even people who are studying the Vedas, and they have impersonalist conception. They cannot understand Krishna unless they have mercy of Krishna and devotee of Krishna. And we see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is the greatest logician in India, who has studied all the Shastras, he is not able to see Krishna. He is not able to see Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is sitting in front of him. So it is not by just seeing Krishna that we can understand Krishna. Naham Prakash Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavrita. Krishna says in 7th chapter, text 25, that I am not visible to everybody. I am covered by my internal energy. So that's why here Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring, how can I see Krishna in his external energy? People cannot understand Krishna's internal energy before they understand Krishna's external energy. So these devotees like Parikshit Maharaj are teaching us how to approach Krishna, how to see Krishna. So that's why he's inquiring, please tell me how Krishna has created this material world. So when we understand Krishna's Durga Shakti, the external energy, then we can expect to understand Krishna's internal energy, which is Srimati Radharani. Hare Krishna, Shri Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can open for any questions, discussion, or reflections, or corrections. Hare Krishna.
I think the analogies are very helpful.
With the foam on it.
And this microphone is very helpful for this
It's so nice, right?
audience.
Yeah. Next, we'll get a big TV camera. Hare Krishna. Can everyone hear me over there? On the other side of the screen?
Hare Krishna.
So I was just saying that these examples are so helpful. of the analogies. Specifically, I found the engineer and the powerhouse and the electricity to be very striking. I used to tell students this on book distribution when I first started. It was one of the main things I would tell them actually. I think I would lead with that. But yeah, these analogies are so striking and they're very nice, and I think just it's short, but people can get the idea very quickly, and in this way, a theistic conclusion can be presented very scientifically. So it's very fascinating. So I really appreciated your um, collection of analogies which you put together and then you presented it in terms of the philosophy. And yeah, this word numinous and phenomenal, it comes from Immanuel Kant actually. He was a German philosopher. But Prabhupada used those words to describe. So it's interesting how Srila Prabhupada is able to take the language of prominent English speaking philosophers and then adapt them into his presentation of Bhagavad Gita and then Krishnaize it. It's it's very fascinating. But one verse, just studying phenomenal and numinous, is it's very interesting.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really like what you said about analogies. Vaisheshika Maharaj talks about how analogies are thought bridges. And thought bridges. Yeah. And I really appreciate the work that devotees have done on this Bhagavatam. If we see in the back, there's all the list of analogies here. It's amazing. It's just amazing. This general index, there's a in every Srimad Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, this this is section called analogies.
Wow.
Could you imagine? And there are so many analogies. We can just make classes out of these. We can write books out of these. There's so many analogies.
Raj compiled a book called Srila Prabhupada Analogies, actually. Put it on there.
Yeah. And there's like full 2 pages of analogies. It's amazing. We don't have to do all that hard work. I mean, this is before technology, before internet. This Bhagavatam was there before internet.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. This is amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Anybody? One more online or in person? Yes, it's one in the room.
I would hear people saying that, when we present Krishna consciousness, very often, at least I can say for myself, but in other cases too, we use analogies and we try to explain certain points to people. We are trying to convey the message. But their reaction is, oh, it's nice that you believe in that. You understand? We think that we are kind of teaching people philosophy, and very often it's through analogies also. But then, they just say, oh, I'm okay. Yeah, okay. I can see where you are coming from, so continue. And I'm also going to continue. And also, I would hear people say that analogies, they're not like ultimate evidence, which kind of makes sense also. We use analogy just to illustrate. Basically, it's, as far as I could understand, analogy is Anuman in the service of Shabda. So Anuman means inference, or how do you call that? logic.
Hypothesis.
Inference.
Inference.
Inference means logical kind of thinking and coming to conclusion. Am I right? Trying to grasp, wrap up something with our mind.
Yes.
So it's you know it's not obvious for many people, and it's okay. That which is beyond perception, you cannot just you cannot. It's not that analogies they always work. So until a person comes to the level to actually just accept shabda, which is kind of okay, Vedic evidence, but that's high level of faith. Bhaktivinoda Swami, he says there should be a leap of faith.
Yes.
Because just by giving arguments or even illustrating things with analogies, it depends on Krishna. Maybe person will accept or not, but it depends on our purity of consciousness and their purity. They can sense intention, I think, when we preach, and if they sense that this person is kind of well-wisher, it's very important. To have that.
Yes.
I just wanted to. So, like conclusion in conclusion or ultimate evidence for some things, it's kind of shastra. It's kind of definitions basically from Vedanta Sutra, from Bhagavad Gita, from Srimad Bhagavatam. That's evidence, but people might not be ready for that. So we use these crutches, which are like I learned it from Shotra Swami. He says that analogies are like Shaka Chandra Nyaya.
Shaka Chandra Nyaya.
So it means father or some senior person, he's trying to say to the child, this is also analogy. So his child, father says, look, the moon. And the child thinks, where is the moon? I don't see the moon. There's no moon. And the father says, you see this tree? Yes, I can see this tree. And then between those branches, you will see white, and that's the moon. Okay, I can see. So it's kind of, analogies like illustrate, but people can also they may not accept it or and so, but they are there, they are in scriptures, they're an important part.
Yes.
But they are like Hanumana in the service of Shabda.
Correct.
So
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that nuance. Actually, it is right that people won't accept the analogy as absolute truth, and they should not. These analogies are meant for us to think, open up our mind, and just give it a thought. Just give it a shot to try it out. Many analogies are given by impersonalists. For example, we merge just like rivers merge into the ocean. Similarly, we merge into the absolute truth at the end of life. That's an analogy. And just like many pots of water, when the pot is broken, everything is one. So they also use analogies. So it's not that we accept analogies as absolute truth. One has to keep one's mind open and think about it. They are just there to explain a particular concept, and then one has to try it out and experience the difference. As yesterday Devrata Prabhu was mentioning, spiritual knowledge is different than material knowledge because it leads to transformation of heart. So these analogies could be good. They are at the level of intellect. They are not at the level of the heart. So we can use them in order to try something, and unless it leads to a transformation of heart, we don't have to accept it. So yeah, but yeah, we can use it in the service of Shabda, as you might rightly mentioned, Prabhu. Okay, we'll stop here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhishya Kripa Sindhubhyo Jai Patitanam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnavaya.